Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Ajulam here. Thank you so much for coming around, and if this is your first time of coming across my channel, kindly subscribe and turn on the bell icon so that you get to know anytime I post a new video. So for today's tutorial, I'll quickly share with you how to make a handkerchief ball dress for a baby girl. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Project I'm going to use, I have 4 yards of net here, although I just cut out 1 yard each. Okay, so this is 4 yards, and I have my satin and my lining and hard net. So as usual, I'll start with the upper part. So I'll be using a 6-month-old measurement to make this dress. Now the body's length is 6.5 plus 1 inch for my seam allowance, making it 7.5. So that is the point that I'm going to mark and connect to a straight line. If you're a returning subscriber, you already know this part, so I'm just repeating it for newcomers in the house. So now I'm going to connect. Although I am repeating it, I'm going to be fast. So if you want to see more, you can check my other videos. So after connecting, now I'm going to mark out the shoulder measurement, which is 8. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to mark that 4 there, and then I'll come down by ½ an inch for the shoulder slope. Now for the neck width, I'll be making use of 2 1/4, which is this point here, and then the neck depth, I'll be making use of 1 3/4, which is also here. So now I'm going to connect. Okay, you can also use your free hand if you don't have your French curve. So I'm going to connect this. Okay, and then I'll connect this point to this other one here. Now for the armhole, that is the next measurement. It's your shoulder divided by 2. So I'm going to mark out 4, placing my tape on that shoulder line. So this is 4 here. So on that line now, I'm going to mark out the shoulder measurement. So this is it. I'm going to connect to a straight line, and then we have the chest line. This is the chest line now. So I'm going to check what I have here. This is 3 1/2. Half of that, I'm going to fold my tape to determine that. So that is the point there. And then I'll go in by 3/4 inch, which is this point. Then I'll connect. Before connecting, you mark out the chest measurement, which is 5. That is 20 divided by 4. It will give us 5 plus 1 inch for seam allowance, and that is the point there. Now I'll just connect. So now after connecting it now, I'm going to mark the waist measurement, which is also the same with the chest measurement. Then I'll connect to a straight line, and that is the front pattern. Now going over to the back pattern here, all I have to do now is to mark out the body's length. Remember, we're working with 7.5, which is here. Okay, I'm going to mark that out till I get to this other end. Then I'll connect to a straight line like this. Now the next thing to do is to mark out my 1 inch for zipper allowance. So this is my 1 inch here. I'm going to mark that till I get to this other end, and then I'll connect to a straight line. Okay, so now I'm going to mark out the shoulder measurements, which is 4, 8 divided by 2, and then I'll come down by ½ an inch for the shoulder slope. And then for the neck width, remember we used 2 1/4. Then the neck depth, I'm going to use just ½ an inch, which is that point, and then I'll connect. Here you can also decide how you want the shape of the back to be. Now I'm going to connect this other line. Next thing is the armhole. Remember we used 4 inches for that, and then I will mark out the shoulder measurement. Okay, it's almost the same thing I did with the front pattern. Then I'll connect. Now this is the chest line, and then now I'll repeat the same thing I did on this area, this armhole area. So I'm just checking what I have, 3.5 divided by 2, and that is the point there. Okay, and I'll also go in by 3/4 inch. This dress there's no sleeve, that is why I'm going in with by 3/4 inch. If I want to add a sleeve, I will just go in by 1/2 inch. So now this is the chest measurement with my seam allowance, and the waist measurement is the same with my seam allowance as well. So now I'm going to connect all the points, and we are almost done with the pattern. Okay, so now that is for the back. On this waist area for the back, I'm going to come up by 1/2 inch. Okay, this is necessary so that the dress will have a nice fit at the back side. And we have our pattern ready, so now I'm going to cut it out and place it on my fabric that I'll be using for the upper part, and then cut it all out before we move down to cutting of the lower part of this dress. Cut all of them out, and I use my pin to hold the lace and the satin together. So now I'm going to take this and join the shoulders together separately, and I'll also do this on this other side. So after that, I'll just close up the neckline and the armhole and turn it over before we start cutting the down part. So here I just closed up the neckline and I top stitch, and also the armhole. So I'm going to turn it now and give it a good press, and then I will start cutting out the net. So I'm going to take one of these nets. Remember I said I'm using 4 yards, so I just cut them in 1 yard each. So I'm going to fold one in 4, same way you fold when you're making a full circle dress. The same way you fold, that is how you also fold. Now as you can see, my net is on fold. This area is closed and this other area is closed. And before we continue, our advanced class is coming around. So if you want to participate, please check the description box for more details on how to go about that. Okay, so now I just folded it. If you like, you can use your pin to secure, to hold it in place, okay, or you can just iron it out, whichever way you prefer. So now what I'm going to do now is to determine the length that I want to use. Now making this part, the length for this part, I would like to make it 10 inches, okay, and that is that point, that is 10 inches. So now I'm going to mark that point. So I'm going to mark it. As you can see, I started from this point that is shorter, okay, so I'm going to mark that 10, and I'll check what I have now from that point to this edge. This is 6.5. I'm going to mark the same 6.5 here, okay, and then I'll continue marking till I get to the other end. This is 6.5. Okay, so I have 6.5 now. The next thing to do now is to mark out the length that I'm working with, which is 10. So I'm going to mark out the length here. This is 10, and then I'll just cut it straight to this other side. So now I'll just cut it straight. It should be in a square form after cutting. Okay, I am trimming off all these excesses on this other end. So now after that, I'm going to cut this part. I'm going to repeat the same on the remaining 3 that I have. Okay, now this is the shape. So I'm going to place this on this other 3 and just trace all of them out. I have 4 pieces here. I'm going to open it up one after the other and arrange it. Okay, this is so easy to make. I'm going to use this other edge so that you can see it very well. Okay, I'm going to start with that edge. Remember, this is one side. I'm going to take the second one and open it up. Now you can see the way I am placing it. You can see how I am placing it on that side. And when you place, you make sure it's the same on this waist area. So I'm going to continue like that. Take the third one, okay, and I'll place like that. I hope you can see how it is on that edge, and I'm going to take the last one now. And then I'm going to place it on this side. Now you can see how it is, and that is how the rest of the other side is going to be. So now I'm going to pin it on the waist so that I'll make sure that the waist is the same. Okay, so I'm going to pin it down here all round, okay, before I'll now use my gather stitch to sew on the waist line. So let me just pin it all through and then I'll show you. So after pinning it on the waist, making sure that it's together, you can see that the other side has formed as well. You can use one side to use and set it up the way you want. So now that is how to do that. I'm going to open one side to use as where I'll be fixing my zipper. Okay, So you can decide the parts that you would like to use to do that. So I'm going to open just one side now as decide to use a zip. I'm going to use this point. I'm trying to arrange it well. So I'm going to use this side as my zipper allowance side. So if I open it up now, I will just take it to my sewing machine and use my gather stitch and sew, and then I'll gather to the waist measurement, which is 20 inches plus 1, that is 21 inches because of the seam allowance. I hope that is clear. So I'm going to open it now and do all that and show you. So this is what it looks after gathering and pulling it together. As you can see, it's already formed. So now I'm going to cut out my satin where I'll be adding this. Okay, so this is my satin. I'm going to fold it in a half circle way. Alright, so now this is how to fold in a half circle. You open it up, you bring this other one. You open it up now, you just bring this one to this other side, and it's as easy and simple as that. So now I'll just mark out the length that I'll be using. Remember, we're working with 21 inches as the waist measurement. So if you divide that by 3.14, which is the formula for half circle, I'll have, I think, 6 point something. So I'm going to mark out 6 on the dot on this, because most of the time if you mark out exactly what you have, you end up having more when you cut it. So I'm going to mark out the 6 inches from this edge, and then I'll connect, mark it to the other end and connect. Then I'll mark out the length of my satin. For the length, I'll be making it 10 inches as well. By the time I'm done folding the down parts, it will be shorter. Okay. So now I'm going to mark out the length. Okay. So the length, like I said, is 10 inches as well. I'll mark it to the other end and then I'll cut. This is where I'll be adding my net. So after cutting it out, this is what I have. Okay, I need to check the waist to confirm that it's what I need. Okay, this is 21, it's very okay. So now I'm going to take the net and then I'll join it together with my satin. Okay, I'm going to use my straight stitch and sew it here. After that, now I'm going to join it with the upper parts. Okay, and then I'll show you. Before joining it, I'm going to close this. This is very simple. You should know how to do that. It's just to mark the chest and the waist measurement, and then you close the side. So let me just do all this before I'll join my lining. So this is it after joining my satin. This is how it looks, and then I just closed up the upper part. So now I'm going to join it with this upper part, and then I'm going to add my lining and show you the final look of the dress. Everything, this is how it turned out to be. Now you can see that you can use up to even 10 yards to make a handkerchief ball dress. Now you can see it's very easy and simple to make. So that is it for today. Please subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one.